Today we're going to be talking about the basic fundamentals to building a great sounding concert snare drum roll. First things first, grab yourself some sticks and something to play on. I've got a practice pad here in front of me, whatever you've got to work, and let's get going. Alright, so first of all, let's make sure that we're set up right from a physical standpoint. Feet about shoulder width apart, relaxed shoulders and back. And now what we're going to do is I'm going to take one stick in each hand down by your side, okay? What we're going to do is take a nice deep breath in, and then on the exhale we're going to bend from the elbows and lift our sticks to playing position at the drum, okay? So bring them down here with me. Big breath in, out and up. All right, great. Let's try that one more time. Back down, shake it out if you need to. Get nice and relaxed. Nice relaxed stance here, okay? Big breath in, out and up. Very, very nice. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to think about our concert snare drum roll is we need to make sure that we are treating it as a sustain and not trying to play as fast as we possibly can, okay? We want it to sound more like this and not so much like this. Alright, so we need to make sure that we got those two things in our brain so we know what to avoid, okay? So, first things first, we'll break it down by hand. So we'll start with the left hand, alrighty? What you're going to do is you're going to take the stick, place it in your left hand, and put it in playing position here. Then I want you to, from the wrist only, bring the stick up. So don't lift it like this, don't lift it like that, don't do any of that crazy stuff. Just lift straight up from the wrist. And then I want you to just let it drop back down and bounce like this. Okay, let's do that one more time. Just watch me and listen. Okay, I'm going to keep on doing this. You feel free to join in whenever you want. The goal here is to try and get as many bounces out of the stick as you possibly can. So if you are doing this and you're only getting maybe 2 or 3 or 4 bounces out of it, you might want to try and relax your wrist and fingers a lot more than what you're doing right now. Hold on to the stick just enough to where it doesn't fall out of your hand, and then imagine that you're just taking like a dead fish and flopping it out on top of the drum pad or whatever it is that you're using. You're just flopping it right there and trying to get as many bounces out of it as you possibly can. Okay? Let's switch over to the other hand. Same thing. You try this along with me at whatever speed you want. Always focus on staying relaxed. Try to bend only from the wrist. We don't want us to bring all the way up here and bring it down. Nice and easy. Keep that up for a little bit longer. Make sure you're staying nice and relaxed with your breathing too. Okay, great. So you can go back and redo that as many times as you need until it sounds just like what I'm doing. So great. Now what we want to do is try and control these bounces a little bit more. Okay, so we're going to do the same basic thing, one hand at a time. We're going to start with the left, but this time we're going to meter it out. We'll do 8 beats on the left hand and 8 beats on the right hand. Okay, so I've got my little metronome here, and I'm going to set it to 112 beats per minute. Okay, so watch and listen to me first, and then try and follow along. Here I go. 1, 2, first, me. That's it. Watch and listen again. 1, 2, here I go. Stop. Okay? So now try and join with me. Now, if you'll notice, I'm not letting my fingers fly off the stick. I'm keeping it all very contained, but still being very relaxed. That's what I want you to go for. If you listen carefully, I'm getting about 5 to 7 bounces per stroke. Okay, so start with me, starting with the left hand, 8 beats, and then on the right hand for 8 beats. Here we go. 1, 2, and 1, 2, ready, go. And switch. Stop right here, and again, and 1, 2, ready, go. And again, and 1, 2, ready, go. And stop right there, okay? So again, you can go back and redo that as many times as you need. Awesome. So always make sure, no matter what it is that we're doing, that you're staying as relaxed as possible while also maintaining control over the stick, okay? So the next thing we're going to do is we need to ask ourselves the question, how do we get from here to here? And the answer, of course, is practice. But we got to be a little specific about how we practice this. So now we're going to do an exercise that's related to what we just did, that when we start slow and then gradually speed it up, we'll build ourselves up to the ideal sounding concert snare drum roll. Okay? So, like we did a second ago, we're going to start with single buzzes on one hand, then the other hand, and then we'll add a new part. We're going to add both hands together, or what we call double stops in the drum world. So those sound a little bit like this. You can try this with me if you want. But I'm doing the same thing with both hands at the same time, and I'm trying to get them to match each other perfectly, or as close to perfect as I can possibly get. Okay, great. After we've got the double stops, we add the final piece to the puzzle, alternating strokes, which is going to sound a little bit like this. So you can hear it kind of sounds like the beginning of a buzz roll. We're almost there, but it's still a little bit disconnected. And that's because we're still practicing maintaining the control over the stick before we try to smooth it out and make it a fully connected roll. So first, let's see if we can play through this exercise without any buzzes, just regular strokes, okay? So I'll go through it first on my own a couple times, and then you try and join in with me. First things first, we start with the single hands, then we move on to the doubles, then on to the alternating strokes, okay? We're going to start with the left hand again. So I'll turn the Met back on, 112, and watch me first. 1, 2, and 1, 2, here I go. Other hand. Both hands together. Now alternate. And stop. Okay, let's try that again. 1, 2, singles on the left. Now together. Now alternate. Okay, we'll stop right there. Make sure to go back and repeat that as many times as you need until it sounds just like what I'm doing. Okay, so now let's try and add the roll part back in. So first listen to me a couple times, and then we'll try it together. Here you go. 1, 2, 1, 2, add the roll. Again, and 1, 2, here we go. Sure you stay nice and relaxed, as many bounces as possible, while maintaining control. Okay, great. Now, if you haven't done so already, join me with it. We're going to do this exercise 8 times in a row. Now, if you get lost, it's totally okay. Just hop back out for a second, recollect, find out where we are, and jump back in when you feel comfortable, even if you have to wait until the next cycle, okay? Same exercise, starting on the left hand, 8 times in a row. And 1, 2, 1, 2, here we go. and again, and 1, 2, second time. Make sure you're keeping the fingers on the stick. Stop. And again, and third time, here we go. And 1, 2, and fourth time, here we go. Alright, we're halfway there. And 1, 2, and 1, 2, number 5. Two, and again, 2 for number 6. Alright, 2 more to go. 1 and 2 and number 7. Last time, 1 and 2 and number 8. Awesome. And remember, you can go back and rewind that much of the clip to practice that as many times as you need to achieve the right sound, tone, and technique. So, a couple things to keep in mind here. With your roll, if it starts to sound super busy or loud like this, then you need to stop immediately, okay? Because that kind of roll promotes a lot of tension in your hands, really makes you clench the sticks, and that is not good for your tone quality, your technique, or for your drummer muscles in your hands. It can actually lead to some pretty serious problems if you try to play with that much tension. So whenever you are performing a roll, you want to try and stay as relaxed as you can while maintaining good control over the stick, okay? With that last exercise, it doesn't sound like much of a roll doing that, but the idea is that when you master it at that speed, you bump it up a few clicks to the point where you can play it much quicker and your roll will sound much more connected and professional. So, just make sure you diligently practice that and don't rush yourself too fast too soon, or else then you're going to start to get really tense in the hand and the wrist, and that is just disaster for your tone quality as a percussionist. The next thing to talk about is you want this roll to sound like a sustained note, or you want to think about it like it's a sustained note. In the same way that a brass or a woodwind player plays a half note or a whole note, or just plays a note for as long as they possibly can and it's smooth with no breaks in it, ideally, you want your roll to basically be the same thing. Obviously, since there's so many beats in there, it can't be perfectly sustained, but if you keep it relaxed and even across both hands, it creates this effect that sounds like the roll is just sustaining and happening out in space for all time without you having to work as hard as you actually are. So those are the two big things to remember. No push, busy, gross, no rolls like that. And the second thing is you want to try and keep it as much of a sustain as possible. Okay? Alright, well done. Good practicing today. Make sure that you come back to this video often, as the perfect concert snare drum roll is a constant work in process. Even for me right now, having played percussion for as long as I have, I'm still having to relearn some of this technique to get back to where I want to be and to make my snare drum roll sound as perfect as it possibly can. Make sure that it stays relaxed and smooth, not busy. Always focus on great technique and flawless tone quality, and just make sure that you're treating the muscles in your hands right with the way that you're performing these exercises, okay? So that's all we got for today for the roll. Again, be sure to rewind this and do the old exercises as many times as you need to feel comfortable with it. And yeah, that's all we've got. We'll see you next time. Thanks.